Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unraveling the mysteries of one of the most fascinating, untouchable, and frankly godlike factions in the lore of Tanelon. I'm talking about the Highborn, commonly known as the High Elves. And look, these aren't your typical forest-dwelling archers. We are looking at a society defined by unmatched magical precision, terrifying military power, and a celestial discipline so strict it literally dictates their very souls. Okay, let's dive into this.
To tackle this, we've designed our own meticulously clear pattern for this explainer. We'll start with the Lords of the Triune, move on to the One pattern, look at the cost of immortality, then the Highborn Vanguard, and finally, the Knights of the Triune.
Section 1, Lords of the Triune, the Hidden Kingdoms. So to even encounter a Highborn is incredibly rare. They live in extreme geographical isolation deep within the Skyspire Mountains, way up north of the Sea of Bones. And they don't exactly travel by road. They exclusively use these beautiful rainbow-like silver light star bridges for teleportation. Their entire society is completely defined by this sacred rule of three. Now, what's really interesting about how they're structured is how each hidden kingdom perfectly mirrors a celestial body. First, you have Everdon, the throne of the sun. This is a blazing golden citadel ruled by Siltaron. Then there's Silverlight, the throne of the moon, which is his ethereal domain of eternal twilight and illusion, ruled by Lady Alunar Relan. And finally, Morning Star, the throne of the stars. It's a crystalline spire way high in the clouds where the Star Lord, Galandamgil, actually measures time not in hours, but in probabilities and prophecies.
Section 2, the One pattern, the sacred design.
Here is the absolute core thing you have to understand about the Highborn. They don't worship deities. At all. Instead, their ultimate doctrine is the One pattern. It's this deep belief that the universe is a flawlessly structured, intelligent design. Imagine walking into a temple, right? But you find zero statues of gods, no idols of any kind, just these massive celestial lenses, perfectly still reflective pools, and expansive chambers geometrically aligned to the stars. For them, violating this pattern is the ultimate heresy. But to exist perfectly within it, well, that is true enlightenment.
This cosmic alignment doesn't just guide them morally, it literally fuels them. Unlike other mortals who are powered by standard soulfire, the Highborn run on starfire. This is a rare, perfectly stable essence drawn directly from the arcane veil. And this brilliantly illustrates why they possess such unmatched magical affinity and immortality. Because of this starfire, their bodies just stop aging in their third decade, locking them in this state of glowing physical perfection. It's not just magic to them, it's the literal key to their unending lives.
But unending life is rarely simple. Section 3. The cost of immortality. The burden of rebirth.
We really have to ask, what actually happens when an immortal Highborn dies? The reality is chilling, and honestly, deeply emotional. Let's walk through this terrifying reincarnation cycle. They don't just go to some peaceful afterlife. Their soul waits in the arcane veil until a precise triharmonic alignment allows them to be reborn into a new Highborn child. But here's the catch. They bring their past with them. These kids suffer from ghost marks. They're these painful echoes of past life trauma, like maybe an inexplicable fear of drowning or speaking a dead language in their sleep. To cure this, at age 10, they undergo the rite of Lethe, where they look into the pool of memory to confront those past lives. And then, by age 12, they face a devastating choice. They must willingly choose to forget.
If they refuse to let go, the consequences are brutal. We're talking spiritual fracture, permanent exile, or even forced death, so the soul's cycle can be forcefully restarted. This whole process is strictly enforced by the Moonweavers and Starcallers. Just think about the profound tragedy here for a second. Imagine being a 12-year-old child, vividly remembering past loves, families, and deep friendships from centuries ago, and having to forcibly abandon all of that trauma and love just to maintain the strict harmony of the pattern.
Let's pivot and see how this builds into a terrifying, hyper-specialized battlefield presence. Section 4. The Highborn Vanguard, hyper-specialized warfare.
When a society is this disciplined, this magically potent, and utterly detached from the fear of true death, their military reflects that exact terrifying perfection. The Highborn don't rely on massive swarms of troops. No, they rely on hyper-specialization. Just their conventional forces alone are absolutely devastating. You've got Spellblades, warriors who can cast a complex spell and deliver a killing sword stroke in a single fluid motion. Then there are the Summoners, projecting harmonic entities directly from the cosmos. You have arcane archers who are mathematically lethal, using quantum trajectory runes to literally curve arrows around mountains or straight through shields. Oh, and the air cavalry? We're talking Pegasus knights riding highly intelligent, dimension-shifting winged steeds to completely dominate the skies.
But it escalates from there. Section 5. Knights of the Triune, Celestial Avatars of War.
If you want to know why every other nation on Tanelon truly, deeply fears highborn warfare, it is because of these apocalyptic triune orders. These aren't just soldiers, they are celestial avatars of war. First up, the Knights of the Sun. They are the blazing hammer of the High Elves. When they ride into battle, gleaming in gold and white, they are literal radiant firestorms. They wield solar lances and project anti-magic auras, meaning their mere presence scorches away shadow and dissolves enemy illusions. Their goal isn't just to defeat the enemy, it's complete incineration. Actually, it's so intense that most enemy lines simply break and flee in sheer terror before the Sun Knights even make physical contact.
Then we have the Knights of the Moon. So if the Sun Knights are the hammer, the Moon Knights are the scalpel. These guys are terrifying shadow slayers and assassins who operate in absolute silence. And they don't just cut bodies, their cursed crescent blades sever thought itself. They operate in these small trios deep behind enemy lines, fracturing memories with moonlit whispers. They can literally make an enemy commander completely forget his own name right before he dies. It instantly collapses the entire enemy chain of command.
Finally, we arrive at the most feared warriors of all, the Knights of the Stars. These are the eldest, most attuned Highborn. They don't just fight in the present, they manipulate temporal momentum and quantum positioning. They kind of exist slightly outside of standard time, seeing glimpses of all possible futures and choosing the exact one that leads to total tactical dominance. Because of this, they arrive on the battlefield precisely where the enemy isn't expecting them, acting before the other side even realizes a move has been made.
So, the crucial point is that when they march, they aren't gambling with armies, they're gambling with possibility itself, meaning victory is practically preordained. Their speech is fragmented, drawing from parallel timelines. When a Star Knight speaks your name, you are often already dead in the timeline they've chosen to enact. It's this absolute inevitability on the battlefield that mortals simply have no way to counter.
Now, despite this overwhelming apocalyptic might, the Highborn are surprisingly politically indifferent. They don't seek to conquer the dwarven capital, human lands, or even rival the great dreaming empire of Dor. They hold no hatred for them, just indifference. They really only maintain peaceful, undisturbed borders with the Wood Elves. You see, the Highborn don't need to conquer the world to prove their power. To them, they are the universe's operating system. They simply exist as power itself.
Which brings us to our final thought. The source text leaves us with this incredible, chilling quote. They do not call themselves perfect, they call themselves aligned. It is a stunning look into a society that has achieved godlike power and physical immortality. But we have to ask ourselves, is this untouchable, cosmic alignment truly worth the endless, tragic sacrifice of a child's memories, forced to forget their past lives and loves forever? It's a profound question to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep questioning the patterns around you.